All right, let's get to the Cavs. All right, we were just talking about refereeing in the NBA, guys. The Cavs are off to a great start. They're three-way tie for the second-best record in the league, only behind who's undefeated? Milwaukee, thank you. Not a big surprise there.
No.
Portland is also a surprise at 5-1 so far, although Lillard got hurt, so we'll see what happens there. But guys, they're doing this without Darius Garland. The only game he played in, they lost. Obviously, got hurt early, and they've won 5 in a row here. But this was a spectacular weekend. They played really well, especially down the stretch. And you know, at the end of the third quarter yesterday, things were not looking good. Same thing in Boston. And then they played great fourth quarter, and they played a great overtime. And the defense really locked down. What did the Cavs give up, like 75 the first half against Boston? And then they gave up like 50 in the 2 quarters in overtime. What's impressed you all? And Brad, let's start with you. Impressed you most with the Cavaliers through 6 games?
Well, I think the ability to respond, to having a go-to player in the lineup. And when I say go-to player, it's not only that you got a guy that you can get a ball to down the stretch to win games. His confidence is exuding amongst the rest of the players. He gives them space and air to get through whatever hiccups or issues or inconsistencies that they have. He seems able to neutralize it. That is what has given them the space to be better. And the other thing, I just say this real quick, Bull, down the stretch, have you ever noticed that he doesn't look panicked?
Never.
He don't look panicked at all. They're down 9. I'm like, okay, this is not going well here.
Yeah.
And he didn't panic at all. Same thing happened in Boston, saying in these 5 wins, and that kind of confidence starts to carry over to the others. The others, what I would call good, but maybe non-believers, are starting to believe, like, hey, hold on. Right? That's it.
I got to ask y'all a question because I wanted to wait it out. I was like, you know, I'm going to jump out the window type dude. I'm like, oh, that's why I've been engaged so many times. I love her. She's the best thing that ever happened in my life. You know her a week, G, but stop it. Like, here's the thing. Donovan Mitchell, to me, looks like the second best player in history.
What?
On the Cavs. See what I did right there? Right there.
Kyrie's off my list.
Now, here's the thing.
Screw him.
Kyrie's tripping.
He's in his bag
out of his
again.
mind.
He's in his bag again. And he's like, yo.
And by the way, shout out to Nick Friedel, who held his feet to the fire a little bit and did a great job and didn't lose his temper. Because if I was having that with Kyrie, I would have lost my temper.
When you look at Donovan Mitchell and you look at Kyrie Irving, I thought it was going to be very hard for some. I thought it would be Mobley that we said, oh, he's better than Kyrie Irving. But in 5 or 6 games, and I get it, you got to have a larger sample size. But for 5 or 6 games, I didn't see this level of, I mean, he's hitting shots. Now, Kyrie, he can get to the basket when he wants. But I never really saw this playmaking out of Kyrie. I really never saw that, like, tenacity where it was like, oh, no, we're going to do this. Point down 6. Now, granted, this team is a lot better than what Kyrie was dealing with back in the day. But for me, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, when Jason said he's better than I thought, I watched this team, and I'm sitting there thinking, these guys play a little bit like the Warriors, but a little nastier from the East. Now, granted, the Warriors wake up out of bed with Jordan Poole and Clay and stuff. They shoot threes like this. Wiggins starts, but they remind me a little bit. If you look at Karis LeVert and Andrew Wiggins, they both got the propensity to disappear, but they can put it on you if you want. Darius Garland and his handle shooting with Steph Curry, and then you look at Clay, but it's not comparable with Clay and Donovan Mitchell. But this team reminds me a lot of the Golden State Warriors of the Eastern Conference.
Mikey, run that back because that's the difference here. Run that back. What you don't get out of Kyrie and everything else, his strength.
Yeah.
The things that he does it requires strength and tenacity. I told you Saturday, Marcus Smart, who usually antagonizes people, couldn't antagonize him. No. He wasn't having it at all.
No. And he also looks for his teammates a lot more than Kyrie ever did.
I said, and so the thing that for us is this. What we do not want to do is over Nick Chubb this dude. I need you later down the stretch.
Now hold on. Brad just switched over. He done put the limits restricted. The analytics.
Like, slow down, bro.
Hey. No back-to-backs for you this man.
Jason, what's to you is what are you most impressed with? And I think we don't want to get carried away. It is early.
Yeah, well, first of all, Listen, Kyrie's nuts. I knew Kyrie was nuts when he was here. All right, like I got killed for saying he's nuts.
What tipped it off?
You were right.
The planet is round.
We knew early on his first couple of years.
Another faux intellectual doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
But like, let's not slander what he could do on the
Oh,
floor.
no, he's still Batman.
When he was here, he was mesmerizing.
He was great.
With the ball in his hand and his ability to break down a defense. Really, really
But he didn't look for his
talent.
teammates like Mitchell does.
Oh, absolutely not.
Well, no.
He didn't have to because LeBron was on the court, though.
Well, no.
No,
like,
this before this pre-LeBron.
yeah, we're talking about
True,
LeBron.
true.
He had, I mean, him and Deion wanted to I don't even want to
Yeah,
go
anyway.
you know,
But go ahead. But Donovan.
I mean, Donovan's better than I thought. I said that at the start of the show, and I was talking to Kevin Love, and Kevin's like, yeah, I don't watch a ton of Utah. He's better than I thought, too. And it's everything that he can do. It's all the ways that he can
I'm
play.
shocked that you dudes did not watch this dude in Utah.
Utah, we ain't watching Utah.
Wait a minute. Before you kill me, even Donovan said last night, this is the best stretch I've ever had.
Listen,
So he's playing better. Donovan himself said last night, this is the best I've played in
I
this
guess
short
so. If I
stretch.
played Rudy Gobert and a bunch of numbskulls, no-name numbskulls.
32, 7, and 5 right now.
That's
Listen,
crazy.
Like,
here,
that's
he
nuts.
got all-stars around him. Who did he have in Utah?
He had Rudy Gobert and
stop
old Mike
playing
Conley.
with me.
But no, this
Stop
is the
playing with
difference.
me.
He's better defensively. He's showing to be better defensively, and I think this is where what you're talking about. Utah defensively just kind of funneled everything to Gobert.
Yeah.
Like, that's their defense. Just get him to Rudy
right.
and let Rudy handle him. Cavs don't defend that way. They have Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, but they don't funnel everything to one guy. So his length and his wingspan, he's better defensively. Now, you have to admit, he's playing better defensively than you saw in Utah.
But you know, but here, you have to send some of this to J.B. Bicker's father was no joke in Seattle.
Bernie was, yeah.
No joke.
Yeah.
So the apple don't fall far from the tree. So JB gonna be no joke, right?
He's yelling at those guys. I love it. I love when he's yelling at
so
them.
I'm gonna just tell you, he's gonna hold you accountable. JB father held me accountable. I'm like, who are you talking to? I'm talking to you.
You can hear him.
I told JB. I told JB this 2 weeks ago. I said, you tell your daddy, because the things he told me in Seattle, the short time I was with him, I still use in the mayoral office today, because I remember him like yesterday.
Bernie is deeply respected in the NBA. Mike Brown gushed and raved about Bernie.
You could hear JB yelling on, like, when the Knicks, like the Cavs scored the first 5 points of the game and the Knicks scored like 10 or 12 in a row, whatever. You could hear JB like yelling at the team.
He has no voice at the end of every game.
Yeah.
Like, none. He screams at the officials.
Every time he
yells
talks
for 48 minutes.
Every time he talks, it sounds like he's hurting his voice.
But you know what's interesting is kind of along these lines.
Yeah.
I asked him before the game, JB, I said, how long can you get him to play this hard?
Yeah.
Because this team plays harder than most
Yeah.
teams in the NBA.
Right.
They do.
And I said, like, how long can you do this? Because it's not going to last forever. They're
Right.
eventually going to be like, man, we don't have to play this hard
Right.
in December, January,
That's why I was telling you,
February.
overwork.
And he said, as long as the Jedi mind trick until it runs out.
Yeah.
But we still need here. You have to agree with me on this. We still need a couple pieces, right? Because it's what wins is the depth.
Right.
The depth is what wins. Because 82 games are long
Absolutely.
season. And then don't get do you know how it notches up in the playoffs? It goes up 100. And the other thing you have to be worried about here is the Eastern Conference team don't really have tape on Donovan Mitchell, right? They only saw him twice a year, right? So you didn't have to really scheme for him now. So now they're getting a feel for him. Now let me see after game 20 when he takes a first quarter round around this season, and they're like, okay, what if we shut this off over here? And now Evan Mobley.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to do some things, right?
But guys, what I think is most exciting about the team right now is the fact that they've played great without Darius Garland. And I don't know what kind of role Ricky Rubio is going to have when he comes back.
A very important one.
But they've done it without him, too, and they're going to continue to go without him for a while. So they will have more depth. I agree with Brad. Eventually, you're going to need at least one more. Like three guy, a veteran guy.
I want to follow up. Go ahead.
But what I love about this team is, like, against Boston, LeVert has this game of games.
Yes.
And then the next day he does nothing. Jetty, who's been hot early, he did nothing yesterday. Mobley was a minor factor. Jared Allen had no offensive game. He always gets his rebounds. But he had no offensive game yesterday. And they still won because Dean Wade steps up. And Kevin Love plays a good game.
Yep.
And Mitchell plays good almost every night. So they do have more depth than they've had in a while.
Yeah, there's no question.
But you could always use more. If you're going to talk about can this team compete for a championship, ultimately you do need another
And I'm
piece.
only saying that because the East is ratcheted up here now.
East is phenomenal.
I said we haven't even seen that part of it yet, right? That's when we're going to start. That's why I was very excited to see what happened in Boston. Because I thought they were swirling the drain in Boston. I said, this is not going to go down well here. And they said, you know what? Because did you see, I told you, I said, did you see the face on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? Because the Cavs wouldn't go away.
Right.
And that's to the point
we're not going away.
They thought we're the Eastern champs, they're going to go away.
They play hard. Usually good teams and talented teams don't play that hard. And I was expecting Donovan Mitchell. I expected him to be okay, but I didn't expect him to come in right off the bat. I do think he was helped a little bit by the fact Darius Garland wasn't there, because he can lean on his old game a little bit.
Right.
He's like, I know how to do this. This is nothing. Where I'm not apprehensive, but where I want to see it is
what happens next.
What happens now when Darius Garland comes back, because Darius Garland has the ball all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll dribble the whole clock out. That's what we want him to do. And I think he gets Mobley and Allen involved more. The pick and roll where they go and lob and they just run that to perfection. For me, I'm anxious to see one thing down the stretch, right? Is this a Donovan Mitchell, take the ball and get your money off, or is it Darius Garland? And because to me, I look at it and I say, all right, Darius Garland showed me what he do last year, and he's a closer himself. So, some of these plays, especially in Boston, I don't foresee him having the ball, Donovan Mitchell, that much.
I don't think it's either or. And I pointed you back to this. I want people in this town to turn back the clock, turn back to the Piston bad boys, turn back to Isaiah and Joe. If they can figure out how to work that together, then it don't matter. It might be Donovan's night to close it out. It could be Darius' night to close it out. But you got two dudes at the top of the ticket that they have to be concerned with, right? Last year down the stretch, when they put the clamps on Garland, we were stuck. We were stuck.
Done.
Here's the difference. If LeBron and Kyrie can figure it out, like these guys can figure it out.
No doubt.
Kyrie was ball dominant. He needed the ball in his hands. I don't think Darius and Donovan are ball dominant. I don't think they're happy playmaking for others. They're comfortable setting other guys up. They both have court awareness. That's one. And I don't want to bust on Colin Sexton. He's gone off to Utah.
Yeah.
But Colin, this was Colin to the basket. He had no awareness and no feel for who else was on the floor. That was one of my big problems with him. But three things. One, to close the loop on the JB conversation, how long can these guys play hard? He said when you set that as the standard, guys know now, that is the standard. My personal answer is once they make it to the playoffs and once they go deep in the playoffs, then they see, hey, we don't have to play this hard December, January. We're going to save it. To the depth, you need depth to get to April, May, and June. You don't need depth in April, May, and June. You need 7 guys, 8 guys tops to win a championship. Nobody else plays.
But the 7, 8 guys better be healthy.
Yes.
And better be locked in.
Yes, absolutely.
So you have to be cognizant of time management. I'm not saying sitting guys out, but you come to practice. They come to practice. Somebody look like Jordan. Down, you're not going today.
Well,
only thing he would be like, I'm going today. Right.
Well, you got the 4 All-Stars, right? Love and LeVert. That's definitely in your playoff rotation.
Rubio will be.
Rubio is 7.
What they
Would you like an upgrade? You'd like an upgrade over Osman and Dean Wade for your 8th guy.
If we could combine both of them and make them Osman Wade, they might have something. But other
if you're saying you're one piece away, it's obviously the 3 is where you want to address. I would love to see Jay Crowder come back.
We've talked about that.
Yeah, I think that would
be.
I think it'd be a great fit. I don't love Karis LeVert in the starting lineup. We talked to JB about that last night, and JB basically said it was out. He had so much respect for Karis. He went to Karis, and Karis said, I'll do whatever you want me to do.
Right.
He can play any role. He's very adaptable. I like him more as a scorer off the bench. You don't need him in that starting lineup.
Think if you had Darius Garland and Jay Crowder, you could start both of them with the other big 3, right? Yeah. And then have Love, LeVert, eventually Rubio
as your second unit. And you're ready to pop.
Pretty sweet.
And I think they're already. I think they can play with anybody in the East.
Don't you underestimate this time management piece I keep telling you. I was just laughing over here. The funny thing about it, you come in and when the guys, Chuck Daly, all managing the roster and who was practicing, I'm in Chicago. And so Doug would sit down Mike or Phil sit down Mike and say, you guys are not practicing today. Cartwright, you're not practicing today. And then he'd look over at me and Horace Grant, well, y'all practicing? What you mean we practicing today? They not practicing. Don't worry about what they doing.
Yeah.
You two out there, right? And so it's knowing your people, and it's not punishment. I'm keeping you fresh.
Right.
I got more trust in them because I'm going to need them down the stretch, but I need you working every day so you don't lose no part of your craft. This is the management that I'm hopeful that JB's going to pick up from his father and understanding how to manage a team all the way.
Plus, these guys are really young. They're really young. They can work. They need the work. They can work. You know, Kevin, Kevin's the guy you want to watch load management.
Absolutely.
On. Even Donovan. You know, Donovan's not.
Now listen, those numbers he putting up there, that you just saw Tim Couch. It has a wear and tear on your body at some point, so that's why you got to be like, hey,
but Mobley especially needs to play, right? He's got a lot of growth.
Mobley needs to play. Darius needs to play.
Yes.
These guys need to be on the floor.
And that the thing everyone talks about is now you start to get to a point where when you start to see Darius Garland, you start to see Donovan Mitchell, the thing that people want to say is, hey, what is Mobley doing? Like, is he?
Is he
I want to see more for him. I want to see him more aggressive when because there's times where he could take the ball, he'll get a rebound or get something around the basket, and you think and be aggressive. You think it's just a little bit of time for him to get to that thing where say, I got to get mine?
He'd have a double-double against the Celtics.
I think a year or two from now, Evan Mobley's the best player on this team, even better than Donovan. That's where I see his. Like, he's
pretty scary.
He's that good. I think he has. And one more thing to touch on this that we haven't really talked about. They can beat you so many different ways.
Yes, again.
And they can beat you defensively with Mobley and Jared Allen and Okoro. There's a place on this team for Isaac defensively. I called him earlier in the show. He's Miles Straw. He's not going to give you anything offensively, but his length, athleticism, defensively, there's a place for him.
You'll know what we're working with when the tape comes out and people scheme to shut down Donovan Mitchell.
But Kevin Love,
but then you'll see when that happens, because he'll be on the floor and they'll be shutting off what he wants to do.
Yeah.
What the others do to counteract that move.
All right, guys.
That's the thing that'll free Donovan Mitchell back up.
Last thought, Jason.
And you saw this weekend how many ways they could beat you. You saw Karis LeVert, 41.
Yeah.
You saw Kevin Love. I called it the don't let the old man in game. 8 threes in 22 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Just went absolutely nuts. They have so many weapons. They can match up well with so many teams. And they're versatile enough to beat you defensively, offensively with different guys. They're legit.
Wednesday, the Celtics come to town.
We had
another
so much fun watching the Guardians play, or at least I did. I think I know you did. A lot of people did. And now I'm having so much fun watching the Cavs play. I think we all are. It's really joyous. Unlike the Browns, who just make us angry every week.